Hello, all ML Elevate founders, and welcome to another interesting session. Um, I am, like every other session, I'm super excited to bring Jitendra Vepa, who's the chief scientist and country manager for Observe.ai. Um, uh, Jitendra is an expert in speech technology and NLP with 2 decades of experience in both research and building voice AI products. He's currently helping contact centers use AI to improve their agents' performance. Also, for those who don't know, Observe AI transforms contact centers using AI to analyze 100% of the customer interactions across channels, or boost agent performance and automate workflows that accelerate sales and retention. Uh, what Jitendra is going to be diving deep into is nuances of AI startups journey from idea to PMF to fundraise. As always, all the mentors that we've got, there are multiple domains that they touch upon. While he is at it, you will get insights on how to on the market trends and how AI first products are now a requirement to ensure a market fit for your end potential customers and your industries that you cater to. So with that, I'll hand it over to Jitendra. Thank you for coming over, Jitendra, and please most welcome for the ML Elevate mentor session.
Yep, thank you, Aish. So though I'm not a founder for Observe, I'm like a founder. Like I joined like very beginning of the company. Company is 5 years old. I'm 4.5 years old in Observe. Like so, and the interesting part of our journey is like we started doing the year from the day one in the Observe. So that's where Swapnil Akash and the initial founders that tried to hired me in the initial stages itself. So I'll go through a little bit of Observe. I think so. Currently, our journey. We are raised 4 rounds now. We're in recently did Series C like at the beginning of the year, and we have Nexus, our lead seed investors, then Scale, Menlo, and recently Series C, SoftBank, and Zoom also invested in Series C. So we have a lot of customers, 200 plus customers already, and of course we have 200 plus people, employees. Both in India and US. India, we predominantly do R&D, and US, we do all the go-to-market functions. I'll just, feel it free to interrupt me to know about anything about Observe. So I'm happy to share. But before that, I'll just give context. How did we start? Like initially, we start building product technologies. Like so, we start building a lot of technologies, even understanding about the data we have done, but we start building technologies and we will start experimenting with the first initial customers. That is maybe case with most of you. Like, and then we started like understanding the domain. We started like really identifying the personas, like who can use our product. So then we identified 3 main personas. One is or areas. One is quality assurance and operational efficiency. And most of the contact centers have QA teams, or almost all of the contact centers. So their job is to look at, monitor maybe 1 to 2% of the calls manually, and then identify areas of the improvement, and as well as check the compliance or process adherence set by the contact center. And then they give this feedback to the supervisors of these agents, so that they can inform, and as well as this will become a quality, even sometimes performance metrics for the agents. The other thing is, the supervisors, when they take feedback from QA agents, they also like do one-on-ones. They'll be on the floor observing the agents. So they give coachings regularly. Even most of the contact centers have weekly or bi-weekly cadence, like so that they don't miss any coaching or any identifying any improvement areas to the agents. The other big part is the compliance. As we see in the real life, like every call starts with call is being recorded and all. Like, so one is like the agents have to really follow these recording disclosures, and on top of that, there are a lot of other compliance that if it is a finance, you have to have 2-factor authentication. I should ask credit card, whatever few digits of credit card number, as well as maybe date of birth or other things. So they have to do, this is a kind of a must. It will come from QA evaluations, so it will come from the supervisor observations and all. Like so overall, we identified these areas, and we've seen like there is no clear processes or clear workflows uh, I have established in the contact centers, everybody uses their own workflow, and mostly they rely on like Excel sheets and things like that. And also everywhere they do like very small portion of the calls. For example, the QA, they do 1 to 2% of the calls because a lot of manual nature involved in that. And same way supervisors coachings are very ad hoc, like so there is no process and there is no workflows or systems in place. So and the compliance is definitely they will be more reactive than proactive. Like so which is where really we pitching the product and we're connecting everything into their call so that they will have complete visibility, like um, on terms of the QA or coaching, so they can come on our product and do QA, and then the supervisors can take that QA and then coach in the same place. And then same way compliance, we do a lot of things. Actually, in fact, I'll touch more deeper on the compliance. So I'll just talk about one business problem. The a lot of the calls. So how our product works is we transcribe the calls and we provide a dashboard. If you go to our website, you will can see some of the screenshots. So there is a call display and then the transcription flow, and we identify some key insights on the call. So that's how the call view looks. And what we do is like we mask sensitive information from the calls. This is a requirement from the compliance, especially credit card numbers or social security numbers and any account IDs. So this is the industry does like this is more like a number blaster they used to do. Basically, they any number in the call they used to mask. And what happened was like with that kind of an approach, we also observed and the feedback from the contact centers is the QA agents cannot QA the calls, cannot understand or like look at any process adherence or any other customer experience kind of a things they what they were trying to check for the agents and trying to give that coaching areas to the supervisor. So basically, the call has a lot of fill in the blanks they couldn't even understand or look at the call. Like, so the problem is one side with kind of a and, you can subtract, you can mask every number, redact every number from both audio and text. But the challenge is like, how do we enable same time the QA to do their job better? So that was kind of a business problem we understood after iterations with the initial customers and also we're talking to our personas. And then what we thought is okay, there could be uh, kind of a thing we can understand what can redact or mask in the data, any sensitive information. And we thought, okay, we can redact full, we can do partial. And we also thought, okay, any non-sensitive information, like maybe depending on the industry, the non-sensitive information can be changed, something like addresses or something, some cases like the phone number. Some of those things may not be sensitive, like or the account numbers rather than phone numbers. I mean, they we can mask or partially. I mean, we can unmask or partially mask so that like we can still allow the users to QA users to do their product thing. So that was kind of a solution we come up with, and then we put it into. I think here this group is machine learning group, I guess. Like so, we listed down what are the entities we can do. The entities are like credit card numbers. We identified 10 plus entities. In our case, credit card numbers, like and we also uh, took like social security number, address, email, like phone number, like so 10 plus entities such we listed on, and then standard process like okay, collecting the data. We, we try to start with unsupervised because and then we made it a bit more semi-supervised because again, how do you get annotations for these? Like, so that is another challenge, because you cannot give this data annotators or anybody because this is all like sensitive data of our customers, so we can't expose even to the engineers. So that was also one of the challenges. So we try to do some partial reductions and did it, and also we build a kind of a synthetic data generator for some of these. Like we know how credit card numbers look like, how phone numbers. I mean, all these numbers have characteristics, like, and some of the account IDs. We try to do some synthetic data generation as well to help the models to run. At the end, the problem is we formulated as a classification problem of 10 plus categories. And the other part, once we have, think we also put it a wrapper around that to configure for different customers. Do you need partial reduction? What, I mean, even to start with, what entities you want to be redacted or masked and what entities you need to be partially redacted. So that holistic solution really helped. And this product is GA. This is one of the differentiator product for us. And yeah, most of our customers are really happy with the using this product. And one, we hit like very high accuracies. Another we also hit like really the usage of both like QA agents as well as compliance folks with the same product.
Hi, Jitendra. I had a question.
Yeah,
I'm Avi.
sure,
I'm the CTO of Amicus AI.
sure.
So the problem I wanted to understand was this, did you get the ML problem formulation the right the first time around? Or did you have to go back and make changes, maybe because of accuracy reasons, or maybe because it was not optimal for scaling later on for some these kind of reasons? Have you ever had to change the model that you started work on?
A great question. In fact, I mean, we started this as an entity detection. NER is a very common problem in NLP, like so. We started this as an entity detection, and but what we realized is like, what are these metrics required for this problem? Like, so basically in ML we have precision and recall, like so. We felt recall should be very high for these things because we don't want to miss any sensitive data redacted. So we don't want to miss any, I mean, miss the redaction of any sensitive data. So we go for higher recall, even 98 or 99%, and then we little bit compromised precision on that. So for example, if user said, okay, address doesn't need to be redacted, but maybe sometimes it would have redacted. Like, so but we never missed anything. We never tried to miss the credit card or any sensitive data numbers. So that's where we changed a bit of model training and made it a little bit more fine-tuned for this problem metrics. Yeah, that we learned initially. I mean, once we learned about the business problem, like, but until then we were building like entity NER, and we thought this could be used across our product. But does it answer, Dave? Any follow-up questions?
Yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, don't expect first time to hit the thing. That's why I think one more tip from me here is like, I mean, don't start with too complex models and try to build smaller or simpler models so that like you can start iterating later. Like so we try to do it observe, like, I mean, three kind of thing. First, we try to do like more V0, very lightweight model, like so that like we can really get understand, put it in a business framework, and then trying to get validation for very initial customers or product managers and other business folks in our company. And then based on the feedback, we will build the V1. Like when V1 will be more towards like beta customers and all. Like, and then finally we build the next version, which could be a GA kind of a product. And so definitely that is one thing we were kind of taken from beginning, and we're happy that, I mean, we have not put in a lot of effort in the initial models, and in some cases we really are not, I mean, taken it forward some of these models when we thought, okay, business case was not too strong and all. And the other thing is like the learning for us is getting data is very challenging for the problems once because we sign kind of contracts terms with our customers that this data we can't expose. So that's where the challenge. So we can only uh, understand the data and create a synthetic data. So that is another big thing. And since we're dealing with voice introduces the transcription errors and all, like, so we need to simulate. So most of the cases, we have to simulate a lot of data conditions by understanding the real data to build the models. Like, so that's another challenge we have to do. So that's where also this going simple model to complex models helps. when you see value in the product and value in the machine learning model accuracies, you can put that extra effort in creating a lot more data to train your models. So this will lead to my next slide as well. So these are like a lot of, this is my experience like last 4 or 5 years. I think the many times we all jump onto like the actual ML model things, but one thing we really understood is, we have to understand our data, spend more time on data, like um, and how we can do it. Like so we have, I ask every ML engineer in my team to like really look at the data. Like for us, the data is like audio transcripts, like voice calls and chats. Like look at the data and trying to, if we don't have access to a lot of data from our customers, try to look at the data open source. Like so understand the data and then understand the product what we're building. So then come back to the ML solutions. I think that's where I think the collaboration with PMs and collaboration with designers help a lot. Like so many times building ML product takes a lot of effort. Like so that's where we need to really sure that what we're putting is worth. Like so we go in that MVP fashion. Like so trying to put a little smaller or like a very low fidelity product, then we'll just go into more validation and experimentation with PMs, and then start building full product and service and deployment pipelines. Like so that's very important for ML products. And also ML engineers definitely need to understand the product and the users who are using the product, and so they have to work with product managers and designers to really like make sure whatever the accuracies, all those things would be understood by the user. And the other part is they need to worry about the cost aspects as well. Like so, not only training cost, inference cost as well. Like so, that is where like I think the solution need not be always complex. Solution has to meet the KPIs, whether it could be a random forest or a deep learning model or a whatever transform model. So it need not be. We don't need to bias with the technology out there or what people are telling. We need to find a method what is suitable for it. Like sometimes it could be simple random forest, or that might work for the problem. So that's where I think as a leaders we have to motivate the team, or we have to direct the team towards finding right solution than just go and work on these complex models. And then model building is a iterative, like I think most of you know. Like and one thing I always say is, whenever you're doing an experimentation, you have to write the objective or hypothesis in the language, in machine learning language or statistic language. Like what is the hypothesis you're trying to solve, and the prepare initial data required for it, and build models, whatever test data you have, test and then deploy in the sense, deploy for different stages, whether you're deploying it for uh, for for showing demos to PMs or designers or the other business leaders. Do it like so that you can really convey your message. So we use a lot of the we make it many things demoable, so that like it's easy for the teams to communicate, rather than showing like any notebooks, Jupyter notebooks, or any Amazon SageMaker Studios. Like rather than that, we'll try to make it a simple demo, so that we can convey our solutions much easily, faster to all the stakeholders. And then we do these iterations as we get more and more feedback. But the key here is like understand the business problem for the engineers, and understand and set the accuracy or performance, both accuracy and performance targets. As I said, the selective reduction, the problem is more recall problem, and sometimes some other NLP problems could be more precision driven problems. Like so those things we have to really identify, and then and tune models accordingly. And then finally the deployments. Like so this is where we collaborated with AWS a lot, using SageMaker. So we use a lot of the capability of SageMaker to deploy models, and so that like we can really efficient from day one the cost, because otherwise, like as you get the scale, like cost will really become, one day it becomes a really monster. So instead of addressing the day, you can be cost I mean sensitive from the day one, like so that you can really on top of it before it really hits you. So those are key takeaways. Again, happy to answer any questions from the team. Great question. So it's again a kind of a thumb rule. I'll just say anything 70s could be accuracies could be taken it, because human perception may not be that. Basically, if accuracy is on 70-75%, that's fine. Because even if you show a product to your PMs or your initial customers, they don't push back on accuracies. And same time, you don't need to target anything 85 or 90, because that takes a lot of your effort. And make it like mid 70s or something, depending on the product, it could be lower, but at least bring it to that kind of a decent accuracies where any problem could be looked decent, rather than people start questioning on the accuracy from the beginning, because that we don't want them to focus on accuracies in your initial discussions. And it's very hard to set the disclaimer, so people tend to go and question the accuracies and the technology feasibility. So then you lose the purpose of those initial things. So Rahul, I mean, yeah, we started with English, US English, and English for two things. The TAM is very high in US. And for us, so we started with US English, and now we're expanding into the other English dialects, but more European languages as well. And of course, the data is also available for building ASR and NLP, for English.
Jitendra, yeah. Actually, I was just want to know that, and I think you have already answered my questions. Yeah, thank you for that.
More referring to accuracies, but Aish may be thinking you're asking about the performance deployment.
Yes, for deployment, we are going for pilot deployment of some models, and then from there, we also have challenge, when we deployed, we come across some outliers, some challenging data, and also if we come across those things, then how do we handle those problems? Can you also put some ideas into that?
Sure. It's like 80-20 rule in general. So definitely don't try to address address corner cases, because that takes a lot of your time. That you can do when you're thinking about the building a GA product. For example, in our case, the reference could be we stopped initially to address longer calls. Longer calls means 30 minutes plus or 40 minutes plus, because those would be less than 5% of our total volume or total industry volume. So in that case, we don't want to target that, because your pipeline has to be really robust to handle very long calls because of all the memory constraints at various places. So rather we try to focus at pilot stage. Okay, we say that we will handle 5 to 10 minutes calls. That is our sweet spot, which is in general calls length. That you need to identify for your industry what is your typical average behavior, or median plus some little bit of variance here and there, so that you can really focus on that in the pilot stage rather than trying to solve the outliers. So that I would even go till only GA, when you're trying to make your product generally available more at that scale, where you can really fix all those things. Otherwise, that will take a lot of effort. We've seen it. Fixing those final gaps will take a lot of energy and effort.
Okay, yeah, thank you for answering.
Any other questions? Anything?
Hey, Jitendra.
Yes, sure.
Hey, Shyam here. So we are building a site search engine using NLP and AI. So this is more in terms of understanding how you go from, say, a point A to B, especially in ML thing, right? So what we are going through is we are spending a lot of money on the product at this point, right? So how is the sort of a life cycle when you go from seed to a Series A sort of a place for a AI startup versus a non-AI startup, right? What is the benchmarks that is looked at? Because our understanding is that for AI startups, you spend more money on the product, so it pulls in more resources, etc. Right? So what was your journey there? And if you have any thoughts on that, that'll be great.
Yeah. So yeah, great question again. I mean, we put a lot of effort initially, and it's again iterations like so. And especially when you're working at a C to Series A, you will have only a handful of customers. Like so, whatever they tell become the feature of the product. Like so, that's where we try to do most of the things. But again, one thing we always did is like we set that expectation that don't look at really high accuracies from the day one. Like so, we are building this kind of a model. Underlying model is we know that okay, that's a simpler model, but we'll build more complex model or more highly accurate model as we go. But you tell us like how you will use what, how do you use this thing in your workflow so that we understand really. And we define the KPIs for our model. Many times people don't tell like, so even the redaction problem is telling like it took for time to us like, okay, what do you care? Like, so though it's much easier compared to other things, but I took like what you do when you misredacting a credit card number. How do you deal with that? And then we also have to put like sometimes even the model might miss like so basically uh, that expectation from that. I mean, I missed that point. We also created like there is a manual workflow like in the product itself. So if your QA team or somebody identifies that okay, this is call is not redacted, you can define that portion. We can do manually like, or this product can do manually. So there is always that extra option for people so that like they can still do manually. So that was also one of the takeaways we learned from the discussions. But to answer your question more directly, we have to put that AI mindset in the building the product, because the design to product manager to backend engineer, everybody has to understand what is AI in it. Like so so yeah, if you ask any benchmarks, I mean, definitely initial stage it could be 40, even 40%, 50% of um, your efforts towards product.
Got it.
I
Thanks.
mean, anything specific like if you want to know, like
Just one thing is then like from an investor's perspective, right? Like, do they like the understanding of uh, the effort and money it takes to build a deep tech? So that is where I'm coming from a little bit, because
yeah,
in our journey we've not seen that like we are compared usually to another SaaS company end of the day. Right? It's not the AI element of it usually is not given a lot of weight.
yeah, I got it. I mean, so basically the investors doesn't really see that as AI or AI. Like you can more show it as a differentiator, show it on like how you long term you can win the market or you can win the competition. So you have to show that as a confidence. So same with us. Like so we were trying to show accuracies and all, but then after some time, our sales team or our customer case studies, they were showing that okay, observes accuracies are very high. Like, so then that way, now it took it time for them to really build that confidence that okay, AI is really doing. I mean, customers are getting, because the benefits of AI you can't see from day one. Like say, it's kind of people have to use the product. Definitely, most of or some of the investors don't understand. Also, there is another thing will come even if investors understand. They keep telling like, oh, did you use GPT-3? Did you use this model, that model? Like because they hear now NLP or any vision, everything is outside. It's like a in the newspaper. It's coming like it's not like anything tech like. So people are aware of these terms, so they will also ask us. I mean, they may judge you like based on okay, oh, you're not using GPT-3, how you can compete with other people. I mean, just giving an example. Like so that's where I think you have to really give them heads up that okay, we are following all these technologies and this is where we're building the technology where our thing can make it better. And like that's where we were also telling more than numbers. Oh, we are 85% or somebody's 86% or like yeah, we are competing. I mean, instead of that, we were always showing as a demo like in some web app or something so that they will understand with AI and without AI how things will work. Like so how the workflow will work. Like so in our case, like when QA is evaluating our product, For a 5 minutes call, it would have taken 30 minutes. But with the way it was taking 5 minutes call is taking 10 minutes or like 8 minutes. So you can just show those numbers and they will understand, okay, without AI, like you can't get away with the product and sell in the market.
Got it, Chetan. Thanks for that.
Sure.
So what I wanted to understand was, while you're looking for PMF, once you are past the initial pilot, like once you're past the initial pilot and you're basically looking for some form of PMF with your initial group of companies, how important was the scalability of the ML ops side of things? For example, were you very focused on providing very, very fast responses, inferences from the AI model? Or at what stage did you start prioritizing the speed of the inference compared to other things?
Great question. So 2 parts to it. One, the experience, especially for when you're making any product from beta to GA, you have to define these things. The experience from the product managers and from the users, like, so that's where how much latency they can tolerate. So if it is for example, our case, like we redact calls maybe after call reaches our systems, we redact in 5 to whatever 10 minutes, less than that, like so that like any further user can do it. But it need not be in seconds, it could be in minutes. But same thing, some of our real-time products we have to do even much more faster, less than a second or even a second or two. Like so this is where based on the product you have to set those KPIs. And then these KPIs, some of them, like if you're targeting your product to be on the GA like 1 second or 2 seconds latency, you cannot have like a 2 minutes in the beta. Like at least you start getting closer to that 5 seconds or something, so that like you will go one step there. So that's where like your kind of labs to beta, you can try to like optimize a bit more performance metrics, so that like you're not fully have to build for the GA product. But same time, you don't need to meet GA or full market expectations in the beta product in terms of the performance metrics. And many times users doesn't know this, or product managers don't know directly, so it has to be validated. Especially users can, I mean, my observations was users can tolerate latencies. I mean, sometimes we really overestimate these things. So it's better to validate some of these and do it like, and this accordingly, the cost, definitely we have to keep it like, so if you cannot pass that cost to the users, then we have to come up with the different SQ mechanisms where we can really pass that extra performance cost to the users. We did
Thanks.
answer question. Any follow?
Yes. One follow-up that I have is, do you start optimizing for speed first, or the final like 10-15% of accuracy first? Or would that be dependent on the use case that you're working on, I guess?
It depends on the use case, definitely. I think many times for AI, I feel like speed can be a little bit okay, but accuracy goes toss. No, I think the adoption really goes off. Like so, so I'll give one experience for us when we start building negative customer sentiment on our product, and when we were showing beta products, our accuracies was 70+%, but we were really going for F1 score, like both precision and recall. We don't know how much precision it is, like I mean, maybe around that, like we were going more F1 score of 70+, and then they keep initial thing they've not even looked at, but they keep telling, okay, your product is not working in these calls, that calls, like so they start giving on the accuracies, because they can easily identify the precision part. Now, if you tag like, okay, 10 calls is where customer is showing negative sentiment, they can easily observe, okay, these 3 calls you're tagging wrongly. Like, so there is that pushback. Then we understood, okay, these guys are looking for a lot of precision. Like, so we'll try to then put more complex models to get the feedback. So even though we set a lot of expectation, but to build that trust, and then they make their users to use our product, we had to improve the accuracies. Like, and there we did not worry too much about the speed and latencies and all, but it was more about the accuracies.
Okay, thanks.
So short answer is, I mean, if you ask me binary answer, the accuracy is, and that to take it till 80% or whatever, mid 70s or 80, where people don't creep on it. Like,
Hello, Jitendra. This is Sayam from Meet Record. Just wanted to know that how one should plan for unsupervised models to be converted to semi-supervised models. I think you have been through the journey for NERs in your case. In our case, we have started with some of the NLP models as a classifier. Unsupervised models, for them, we have to add a lot of filters so that it is more of this customer centric. But with time, as we are getting data, we are thinking for unsupervised models. So how one should plan this?
hey, hi, Sanim. Nice to know that you're using. I think actually, one thing I'm saying, depending on if it's a classification problem, no, you can't get away with supervised model. That's I feel like all zero shot, all these things, you can't make a product with that. So unsupervised models or semi-supervised models, all I mean, may not fully work. Like, so only thing is these things will work as a bootstrapping. Like, you get a very high recall filters or high recall model so that you will get the data, and then you try another model and then iteration. So then finally it becomes kind of a supervised. I mean, the model itself is a classification or supervised model, but the data could be generated by semi-supervised manner. So we tried even zero shot, few shot. They don't give you the required accuracy. So it's all, I mean, it's all marketing. Like if somebody is saying zero shot, I mean, you can't just get something out of BERT or something out of GPT-3 or like just like that. I mean, for any problem, you may get it good success, but that is like a still POC, like it cannot be product. You still have to build a supervised. Only my suggestion is don't build from the beginning. Like you can, if you're doing NER, you can even start with any BERT model out there. You just do it, but just to understand it. But at the end, you have to fine tune the model. You have to put your data to make it productionizable. Like, and that effort is required to get those accuracies. And the only thing is at times we have to do customization at a customer level. That I think I would suggest not to attempt a lot, because customization is very cumbersome and very cost expensive. Like, so that's where we have to really push back. We can generalize as much as model for our problem and our data, like rather than building every customer.
Got it.
Really, thank you once again for taking time out, and we'll share your email ID with the founders.
Okay, great. Nice meeting you. All the best. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jitendra.